Hey everyone, today I'm going to be doing a little bit of a different video, and that is because of something that I recently found myself in. The crux of the matter being, who should you believe and who should you rely on when it comes to knowing what is legal and illegal in your local area? Basically, to set a little bit of background for the topic that I'm going to be talking about here, I somehow got added to a Facebook group that has to do with Oregon gun rights and all that, and someone posted a question saying, is it legal to carry a concealed rifle or long gun in your vehicle in the state of Oregon? And one of the first responses, and I'm going to not name any names because I don't want this to sound like a personal attack on anyone in there, but one of the first responses was someone who is a firearms instructor here in the state, and his answer was basically, it is illegal. Basically, the only stipulation saying it's okay is if you're on the way to the range or on the way to hunting or something like that. Otherwise, you cannot have a concealed long gun in your vehicle. And he's not the first person I've heard say this. I don't know where that idea started. I don't know how that word got spread, but I can say it is not the case. And I want to also, before I get too far ahead of myself, say in this video, I am not giving anyone any legal advice. I'm not giving anyone any legal consultation. Look at the laws yourself, but we'll talk about that more in a second. This is just my way of understanding and my approach to finding out this information. So when I saw the person say this, the first thing I said was, hey, what is your reference for that? If it's illegal in the state of Oregon, there will be an ORS or Oregon Revised Statute that explicitly states that act as illegal. So if you're saying it's illegal for you to do so, show me the reference where it says that. And this is basically my approach to just about everything. I consider myself to be a naturally skeptical person just when it comes to politics, religion, or guns, or any sort of information out there. And because of that, I like to do the research for myself. I've looked at pretty much every law that I can regarding the things that I do on a day-to-day basis for the state of Oregon to make sure that I'm living my life as well as I can within the bounds of the law. Now, we can argue all day long whether laws are just or not, whether they're constitutional or not, but regardless, they're the laws that we have in this area, and so I want to do my best to stay within those laws to the best of my ability and to be a law-abiding citizen. Just, I guess, to let you know, I've specifically looked into this issue before. Back when I was working as a firearms instructor, I had a student ask me about that. I said, I don't know, and let me look up the laws for you, and I will get back to you once I have an answer. But again, take my word with a grain of salt, do your own research, etc. So I dug into the ORSs, and specifically for the state of Oregon, illegal possession of a firearm is covered under ORS 166.250. So before you go off and say what's right, what's not, read that law at least, but we'll come back to that in a second. And in there it says nothing about whether it is legal or not to conceal a long gun or even have a long gun in a vehicle, open carried, concealed, whatever condition. The law was silent on it. Now, I tried looking up other ORSs, I tried to look up anything that I could find regarding this topic, and there was nothing. It seemed like the law was completely silent. The only stipulation was that a minor would not be able to have a long gun in a vehicle unless they were going to the range or going to hunting or something like that, which goes back to the guidelines that was put out by the person at the beginning. However, they applied it to everyone. The law only specifically mentions it in relation to minors. So I went to back to that person. I said, hey, what is your reference? If it's illegal, it's going to say it somewhere. And, where are you getting this information? And they said, well, I'm looking myself. I can't find it right now, but I'm talking to other instructors and other law enforcement officers to find out what that reference is. And I kind of started going off on a tirade saying, essentially, in my opinion, if you are an instructor, if you are telling people your opinion on what they should do, what they shouldn't do, you're educating them on what's legal and what's illegal. If you're going to tell someone something's illegal, or if you're going to tell someone something is legal, if you are in a position where people are looking to you for answers, you better have those answers. So if you're going to say something's illegal, you should be able to back that up with a specific law that says that that action is illegal. Again, specifically here in Oregon, we deal with ORSs. Now, I was also working as a security instructor, an unarmed security instructor here in the state of Oregon. when you're going through that course, we go over a lot of what you are allowed to do and what you are not allowed to do based on the OAR's, Oregon Administrative Rule, and ORS's, Oregon Revised Statutes here in the state. And anytime we tell you, hey, here's what you can do here, or here's what you can't do here, we provide you with a ORS that tells you one way or the other. And again, that's not just me. That is how the curriculum is written. Thankfully, it covers all the bases in that respect. Whatever curriculum you're teaching, I still believe that if you are in a position of authority and people are looking to you for answers, you better have the right answers. And if someone asks you a question and you don't know the answer, be honest and say, I don't know, and look up that information and get that person as reliable of information as possible. Now, eventually this person came back and said, okay, there's nothing, they basically said, as long as you have a concealed carry license, you can legally conceal a long gun in your vehicle in the state of Oregon. So I said, well, what if you don't have a concealed handgun license? And they said, nope, it's illegal. Get your CHL. And again, I said, well, what's your reference for that? And come to find out, finally at the end of it, everyone agreed there is no law restricting a law-abiding citizen who is otherwise in legal possession of that firearm to have a long gun in their vehicle, whether concealed, not concealed, whatever the case, there's nothing preventing you from doing that. Now, I'm not trying to do this to pump myself up to make it seem like I'm right. It's just, in fact, I kind of hoped I was wrong. I hoped I would be corrected because God knows my ego needs it. But this went to demonstrate perfectly the topic that I wanted to talk about, and that is, where do you get your information and who do you trust for that information? I'm sure that we've all been in a situation where we're in a gun store or anywhere where gun people are collected in one area, and you hear the worst legal advice you've ever heard in your life from some dude behind a counter or in front of the counter who says, oh yeah, warning shots, give them a warning shot. Or if you shoot them outside your house, drag them inside your house. Some just terrible advice on what's legal or what's illegal, and we knew immediately, BS, that's not the way it is. You should never do that, and stop telling people to do that. But you might be in a position where you know better. You can intuitively tell that, hey, that's not something you should tell people. But what if you're not knowledgeable enough to do that? Where do you go for that information? I'll tell you right now, I should not be the person that you go to for that information. In fact, if you're watching this in the state of Oregon and you're wondering whether you can legally have a concealed long gun in your vehicle, or open carry a long gun in your vehicle, don't listen to me. For all you know, I could be wrong. Go look up the Oregon Revised Statutes that deal with that topic. Now, if you don't know where to start looking for that information, there is a really great app that I've had for several years. It's called CCW. And the picture on it is like an American flag with what looks like a Beretta PX4 Storm kind of thing. I'll show you a picture of it. That app covers all 50 states. Gives you all the laws in those states. It tells you what states your concealed handgun license is reciprocated in. So if you're going on a trip and you want to know, hey, is my CHL valid here? Or what are the laws here? Can I go onto a state park here? Can I go into a bar here with my concealed handgun? That is a good place to start as far as knowing what's legal in those areas. And the thing I like about it is it gives you direct references to that state's laws that tells you where to look for the information. So again, you don't even have to take the app's word for it. You can go directly to the source and find out exactly what is legal and what is not wherever you are. Now, the reason I suggest people look for that information themselves and not ask a law enforcement officer, don't get me wrong, I have an immense amount of respect for law enforcement. They are doing a job that I probably would not want to do in this time and day, but not all of them are super educated, especially when it comes to what's illegal or illegal when it comes to guns. Some do, some don't. Usually the people that do are ones who are interested in guns outside of their occupation as a law enforcement officer. Don't go to the gun store. Don't go to YouTube. Don't go to a Facebook group. God, don't go to a Facebook group. Look for that information yourself. Now, the main reason I say that is because if you do something that turns out to be illegal, it's not going to be the guy at the gun store's fault. It's not going to be the guy on Facebook's fault. It's going to be your fault, and you're the one who's going to be responsible for your actions. So you need to make sure that you find out what you can or cannot do in your state. Now, I'm not saying that you have to become an attorney and you have to look through every single law in your state regarding firearms or weapons or anything like that, but at least do your best to be somewhat well-versed on the laws that apply to things that you do on a day-to-day basis. One of the things you can actually do here in the state of Oregon that I actually recommend people do is take security training. That may sound weird, but there was a lot of things that I didn't know about Oregon state law until I got my security licenses, both unarmed and armed. Now, this even applies to people who don't ever plan on working in the field of security. Even if you don't want your licenses, I learned things about what's legal as far as search and seizures in the state of Oregon, use of force in the state of Oregon, citizens' arrests. These are all things that are really useful to know, even if you're not working security, like especially the stuff on use of force, detaining people, citizens' arrests, searches, what's legal for someone to search of yours, and in what context are they allowed to search it. Really, really useful information that I never would have probably gotten had I not started taking that security training. So I would reach out to people like Doug up at Oregon Security Training. He's where I take all my refreshers through, at least when I wanted to keep my certificates active. I've let them lapse now. He's a really great instructor, super, super knowledgeable, and he probably would be okay with you if you just wanted to take a class without the intent of getting your security licenses. I would definitely reach out to him and find out what his policy would be on that. But again, he's a great instructor and lots of really useful information in those security classes. Again, stuff that I think every Oregonian should know, but is only being actively taught to people in the security field. So again, just to summarize, if you have a question of what's legal and what's not, don't ask me, don't ask Facebook, don't ask a police officer. Unfortunately, in most cases, don't ask your firearms instructor, because again, we've demonstrated that they don't always know. And again, this is something that I've corrected other firearms instructors on even. Try to go to the source, find that information for yourself. If you have the funds to do so, consult an attorney who knows these issues. But again, just look up the information. It's there. You don't have to read through all of it. Just find the stuff that it specifically applies to you. In this case, ORS 166.250. I believe use of force is 255. If I get that wrong, I'll put it down below. It's been a while since I've had to look that up. But again, find that information for yourself, because you're the only one that's going to be screwed if you believe the wrong information. If you've ever heard really bad legal advice, go ahead and put that in the comment section down below. And if someone asks for legal advice in the comment section down below, please tell them, if I don't get to it first, look up your local laws, look at that CCW app to find out what those local laws are. Because again, this is not the place you should be going to look for that information. All I'm trying to do here is tell you not to come to me for information, not to go to other people for the information. Go to the law itself. Now, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns not related to that, go ahead and throw those in the comment section down below. I'll try to get back to you as quick as I can. I am uploading to Full30, so definitely check me out over there. And I do have a Patreon page if you feel so inclined. The people over there get all the content early. They get some exclusive content, as well as giveaways, live streams, all that fun stuff. So if you feel so inclined, again, check that out. But again, please don't listen to me or anyone else when it comes to laws. Do the research yourself. So, with all that said, as always, I hope you got something out of this video, and I really appreciate you watching.